The Forbidden Zone. The vast chamber of the Galactic Trade Federation's High Council buzzed with tension as beings from 47 different species gathered around the central holographic display. The three-dimensional map showed the known galaxy in brilliant detail, with trade routes marked in golden streams and territorial boundaries glowing in various colors. But there was something that caught everyone's attention, a dark sector at the galaxy's edge completely unmarked and unexplored. Commander Thane Korix of the Zeltharian Navy stood at attention before the council. His four arms were positioned respectfully at his sides, and his crystalline exoskeleton reflected the chamber's lights. As one of the Federation's most experienced explorers, he had mapped 17 star systems and established first contact with 8 different species. Today, however, he faced a mystery that had puzzled galactic cartographers for over 3 centuries. "Honored Council," Thane began, his voice resonating through the chamber's translation systems. "For generations, our long-range sensors have detected this region of space, but we have never received any signals from within its boundaries. No radio transmissions, no warp signatures, no signs of civilization. It appears to be completely empty." Council Speaker Vrex, an ancient Morthani whose tentacles had grown pale with age, leaned forward in her floating chair. "Commander Korix, surely in all our years of expansion, some expedition has investigated this region?" "That is precisely the problem, Speaker Vrex," Thane replied, activating the holographic controls. The display zoomed in on the mysterious sector, revealing hundreds of star systems arranged in perfect silence. 7 different expeditions have been sent to explore this area over the past 2 centuries. None have returned. None have sent back any communications. They simply vanish upon crossing the boundary. The council chamber erupted in whispered conversations as representatives from various species shared their concerns. The Gorathek ambassador, a massive bear-like creature covered in metallic fur, slammed his fist on his desk. "This is exactly why we should avoid that cursed region entirely. If 7 expeditions have failed, perhaps there is something there that does not want to be found." Dr. Manus, the Centaurian scientist whose blue skin shimmered with bioluminescent patterns, disagreed. "With respect, Ambassador Koltek, we cannot simply ignore an entire sector of the galaxy. The region contains over 800 star systems. The scientific possibilities alone justify continued investigation." "Scientific possibilities?" scoffed Captain Reel of the Vorthon Defense Fleet. His insectoid features clicked with agitation as he spoke. "What science is worth losing entire fleets? My own people sent the exploration vessel Bright Wing to that region 50 years ago. It was our most advanced ship, crewed by our best navigators. They crossed the boundary and were never seen again." Thane had spent months preparing for this presentation. He activated another control, and the holographic display showed detailed sensor readings from the boundary region. "Council members, our latest long-range scans have detected something new. There appears to be some kind of energy field surrounding the entire sector. It is not a natural phenomenon. Someone or something is actively maintaining it." The revelation sent shockwaves through the assembly. Speaker Vrex's tentacles writhed with concern as she processed this information. "You are suggesting that an intelligent force is responsible for the disappearances?" "It is the only logical explanation," Thane responded. "The energy field is too uniform and too stable to be natural. It extends in a perfect sphere around the sector's boundaries. Whatever intelligence maintains this barrier has technology beyond our current understanding." Ambassador Zeta of the Aquarian Union raised her webbed hand. As one of the galaxy's most diplomatic species, her people had successfully negotiated peace treaties with dozens of civilizations. "Perhaps," she said, her voice carrying the musical tones characteristic of her people, "we should consider that this civilization desires privacy. If they have gone to such lengths to remain hidden, maybe we should respect their wishes." "Privacy?" Captain Reel's mandibles clicked aggressively. "They have disappeared 7 expeditions. That is not privacy, that is hostility. For all we know, they are planning to invade our territories once they have studied our captured ships and crews." The debate continued for hours as different species argued their positions. Some called for immediate military action, while others advocated for peaceful contact attempts. A few suggested abandoning the region entirely and declaring it off-limits to all galactic travel. Finally, Speaker Vrex called for silence. Her ancient voice carried the authority of someone who had witnessed the rise and fall of civilizations. "Commander Korix, What do you recommend? Thane had expected this question and had prepared his response carefully. I propose a new kind of expedition, not a large military force that might be seen as threatening, but a small scientific mission focused on peaceful contact, 3 ships maximum, with clear intentions to establish diplomatic relations. And if this expedition also disappears? Asked Dr. Manus. Then we will finally have our answer about the nature of this mystery, Thane replied. But if we succeed in making contact, we could be opening communication with a civilization that has remained hidden for centuries. The potential benefits far outweigh the risks. The vote was close, but the council ultimately approved Thane's proposal. Within 6 weeks, 3 ships had been prepared for the mission. The expedition flagship was the Harmony Seeker, a state-of-the-art exploration vessel equipped with the most advanced communication and defensive systems in the Federation fleet. The second ship, Stellar Bridge, carried a full diplomatic team with representatives from 12 different species. The third vessel, Discovery's Edge, was loaded with scientific equipment and a team of the galaxy's finest researchers. As the 3 ships prepared to depart from Federation Central Station, Thane stood on the bridge of the Harmony Seeker reviewing the mission parameters one final time. His second-in-command, Lieutenant Kess, a young Zeltharian with bright green exoskeleton markings, approached him with the final crew reports. Commander, all systems are functioning perfectly. The crew is ready to depart on your command, Kess reported. Thane nodded and activated the ship's communication system. This is Commander Korix to all vessels. Today we embark on a mission that could change our understanding of the galaxy. We go not as conquerors or spies, but as explorers seeking friendship with whatever civilization lies beyond the barrier. Maintain peaceful intentions and follow first contact protocols at all times. The journey to the mysterious sector took 3 days at maximum warp speed. During the voyage, Thane reviewed every scrap of information about the previous expeditions. The lost ships had come from different species and time periods, but they all shared one common factor. They had crossed the boundary and vanished without sending a single distress signal. As they approached the sector's edge, the expedition's sensors began detecting the energy field that surrounded the region. It appeared as a shimmering wall of force that stretched across space, perfectly smooth and absolutely impenetrable to their scanning attempts. Commander, called Chief Science Officer Drix from his station. The elderly Mortani's tentacles danced across his control panels as he analyzed the readings. The energy field is unlike anything in our databases. It appears to be some form of dimensional barrier, but the power requirements to maintain such a structure would be enormous. Can we communicate through it? Thane asked. I am attempting to send a standard first contact message on all frequencies, reported Communications Officer Yelm, a young Centaurian whose bioluminescent patterns flickered with concentration. The barrier is absorbing every signal we transmit. Nothing is getting through. The 3 ships held position at the boundary for several hours while the science teams conducted detailed scans. Every attempt to penetrate or communicate through the barrier failed. The energy field seemed to exist specifically to prevent any outside contact with whatever lay beyond. Finally, Thane made the decision that would define the mission. All ships, we are going to cross the barrier, maintain close formation and keep all communication channels open. If anything goes wrong, retreat immediately. The moment the Harmony Seeker's bow touched the energy field, alarms began blaring throughout the ship. The barrier did not stop them. Instead, it seemed to analyze them, sending scanning beams throughout their hull that penetrated every deck and compartment. Commander, they are scanning our entire ship, reported Lieutenant Kess, his voice tight with concern. Every system, every crew member, every piece of technology, nothing is hidden from these scans. As they passed through the barrier completely, the 3 ships found themselves in a region of space that looked identical to what they had left behind. Stars glittered in familiar patterns, and their instruments functioned normally. But something felt different. The very space around them seemed to be watching, evaluating, judging their presence. Sir, called Navigator Trill, a skilled pilot from the Vorthon species. I am detecting massive structures throughout this region. They appear to be some kind of monitoring stations, but they are using stealth technology that makes them nearly invisible. Before Thane could respond, every system on all 3 ships suddenly shut down. Not damaged or destroyed, but simply turned off as if someone had flipped a switch. Emergency power flickered on, providing minimal life support, but engines, weapons, communications, and sensors were completely dead. Then, as suddenly as they had failed, the systems came back online. But they were not alone anymore. Surrounding the three Federation ships were dozens of vessels unlike anything they had ever seen. These ships were sleek and organic-looking, as if they had been grown rather than built. Their hulls seemed to absorb light, making them difficult to focus on directly. A transmission came through on all channels, but it was not what anyone expected. Instead of an alien language requiring translation, a perfectly clear human voice spoke in galactic standard. "Welcome to the Silent Sector. You have entered protected space. State your intentions and prepare to be escorted back to Federation territory." The revelation stunned everyone on the expedition. Humans were a myth, a legend spoken of in ancient texts but never confirmed. According to galactic folklore, humans were a species that had vanished from the galaxy long before any of the current civilizations had achieved space travel. Thane activated his communication system, his four arms trembling slightly with the magnitude of the discovery. "This is Commander Thane Korix of the Galactic Trade Federation. We come seeking peaceful contact and understanding. Are you truly human?" The response came immediately, calm and measured. "I am Captain Sarah Chen of the Terran Defense Network. Yes, Commander Korix, we are human, and you are trespassing in protected space. However, since you have come in peace rather than as conquerors, we are prepared to discuss your immediate departure rather than your permanent detention." "Captain Chen," Thane said, trying to keep his voice steady, "the galaxy believes humans are extinct. Where have you been? Why have you remained hidden?" There was a long pause before the human captain responded. When she spoke again, her voice carried undertones of sadness and ancient weariness. "Commander Korix, humans have been watching over this galaxy for longer than your species have known space travel. We remain hidden because the galaxy is not ready for what we protect it from. Your expedition must return to Federation space immediately, for your own safety and the safety of your people." "What do you mean, protect it from?" Thane asked, but the only response was silence. Suddenly, the human ships began moving in perfect coordination, surrounding the Federation vessels in an escort formation. Despite their apparent age and organic design, they moved with a grace and speed that outmatched the most advanced Federation technology. "Commander," Lieutenant Kess whispered, "their ships are not showing up properly on our sensors. It is as if they exist partially in our dimension and partially somewhere else." As they were escorted back toward the barrier, Thane made one final attempt at communication. "Captain Chen, please, the galaxy needs to know about humanity. There are threats out there that we struggle to face alone. Perhaps we could work together." The human response chilled him to his crystalline core. "Commander Korix, the threats you struggle with are the smallest ones we allow to reach you. The true dangers of this galaxy are far beyond what your civilizations could comprehend or survive. Return to your people. Tell them that humans watch the dark between the stars, and that they should be grateful for the silence we maintain." The three Federation ships were gently but firmly pushed back through the energy barrier. As soon as they emerged into normal space, all traces of the human vessels vanished from their sensors. The barrier sealed behind them, once again becoming an impenetrable wall of force. The journey back to Federation space was conducted in stunned silence. Every crew member struggled to process what they had witnessed. They had found the legendary humans, alive and apparently protecting the galaxy from threats so terrible that an entire species had chosen to remain hidden in order to face them. When they finally reached Federation Central Station, Thane knew that his report would change everything. The galaxy was not alone, and the silence beyond the void was not empty at all. Somewhere in that hidden sector, humanity stood watch against darkness that the rest of the galaxy had never imagined. As he prepared to face the High Council once again, Thane wondered if the galaxy was ready to learn that they had guardians they had never known existed. The comfortable illusion of being alone in the universe was about to be shattered forever. The mystery was solved, but the real questions were just beginning. The Watcher's revelation. The emergency session of the Galactic High Council convened within hours of Commander Korix's return. The massive chamber had never seen such attendance. Representatives from every known species crowded into the space, their various forms of communication creating a symphony of clicks, whistles, and harmonic tones that overwhelmed the translation systems. Word of the human discovery had spread through Federation space faster than any official communication could travel. Admiral Vera Strauss stood before the assembly, her weathered face bearing the scars of countless battles. As Supreme Commander of the Federation Defense Fleet, she had spent 40 years protecting galactic civilization from pirates, rogue AI systems, and territorial disputes, but nothing in her experience had prepared her for Commander Korix's report about humanity. "The implications are staggering," Admiral Strauss announced, her voice cutting through the chamber's chaos. "If humans have been hiding in that sector for centuries, watching our civilizations develop, then everything we thought we knew about galactic history is wrong." Speaker Vrex raised her ancient tentacles for silence. The old Morthani had lived through 3 different galactic wars and the rise of the current Federation. Her voice carried the weight of accumulated wisdom when she spoke. "Admiral Strauss, what do you propose? Commander Korix's expedition was explicitly warned not to return. How do we proceed without triggering a conflict with a species whose capabilities we do not understand?" "We need answers," Admiral Strauss replied firmly. "I propose a larger expedition, not for conquest but for protection. If humans are truly guarding against threats we cannot comprehend, then the entire galaxy may be in danger without their continued presence." Ambassador Koltek of the Gorathek slammed his massive fist on his desk. The metallic fur covering his bear-like form bristled with agitation. "You want to send more ships to disappear? Commander Korix was lucky to return at all. We should declare that sector forbidden and establish a quarantine zone around it." "With respect, Ambassador," interjected Dr. Manus, her blue Centaurian skin flickering with rapid bioluminescent patterns. "Scientific curiosity demands investigation. Humans mentioned protecting the galaxy from threats. What threats? How long have they been doing this? Are we truly safe without understanding the full situation?" The debate raged for hours until an unexpected interruption silenced the chamber. Every communication system in the building activated simultaneously, broadcasting a clear human voice that needed no translation. "Greetings, members of the Galactic Trade Federation. This is Dr. Elena Vasquez of the Terran Research Division. I am requesting permission to address your assembly." The chamber erupted in chaos. Security protocols activated as guards rushed to trace the signal's origin, but Admiral Strauss recognized an opportunity when she saw one. "Dr. Vasquez, how are you able to communicate with us? Our systems show no incoming transmissions." "Human technology operates on principles your science has not yet discovered," came the calm reply. "I am currently aboard a cloaked vessel in orbit around your station. With your permission, I would like to come aboard and explain humanity's role in galactic affairs." Speaker Vrex's tentacles writhed with a mixture of fear and curiosity. "Dr. Vasquez, why now? Why reveal yourselves after centuries of hiding?" "Because the time for hiding is ending," Dr. Vasquez replied. "Recent events have convinced us that the galaxy's younger species may be ready for the truth, but this revelation must be handled carefully for the sake of all civilizations." Admiral Strauss made the decision that would change galactic history. "Dr. Vasquez, you have permission to dock with our station. However, you will be accompanied by security personnel at all times." "I understand your caution, Admiral. I am transmitting my vessel's approach vector now." What appeared on the station's sensors defied all understanding of physics. A ship materialized out of empty space, as if reality itself had been folded to allow its passage. The vessel was unlike anything in Federation databases. Organic curves blended seamlessly with crystalline structures that seemed to pulse with inner light. It was beautiful and terrifying in equal measure. Dr. Elena Vasquez disembarked wearing a simple white environmental suit that somehow provided complete protection without the bulky apparatus required by other species. She was a woman of middle years with kind eyes and an easy smile that immediately put the station's nervous security team at ease. But there was something about her presence that suggested depths of knowledge and experience far beyond her apparent age. "Thank you for agreeing to meet with me," she said as she entered the council chamber. Her voice carried no artificial amplification, yet every being in the massive space could hear her clearly. "I know this situation must be confusing and perhaps frightening. I hope to provide some clarity." Commander Korix leaned forward in his seat. "Dr. Vasquez, when we encountered your ships, Captain Chen mentioned that humans protect the galaxy from threats. What did she mean?" Dr. Vasquez activated a small device she carried, and suddenly the chamber's central holographic display came alive with images that made several council members gasp in terror. The display showed space itself torn and bleeding, with creatures of pure darkness pouring through dimensional rifts. Entire star systems were being consumed by entities that seemed to exist partially in normal space and partially in realms of nightmare. 3,000 years ago, Dr. Vasquez began, Humanity achieved faster-than-light travel and began exploring the galaxy. What we discovered was that space is not empty. Between the stars lurk entities that feed on the life force of entire civilizations. We call them the Devourers, though they have many names across different dimensions. The holographic display shifted to show human fleets engaged in battles against creatures that defied description. Ships that looked like living shadows fought against geometric impossibilities that hurt to look at directly. The humans were vastly outnumbered, but their tactics showed a precision and adaptability that kept the darkness at bay. Humanity discovered that we possess a unique resistance to their influence, Dr. Vasquez continued. Where other species become paralyzed by terror or driven insane by exposure to these entities, humans can maintain our sanity and fight back effectively. We realized that protecting the galaxy from these threats was not just our opportunity, but our responsibility. Ambassador Zeta of the Aquarian Union spoke in her musical voice. Dr. Vasquez, if these threats are so terrible, why have our civilizations never encountered them? Because humans have spent 3 millennia building a network of monitoring stations and defense platforms throughout the galaxy, Dr. Vasquez replied. Every time a dimensional rift opens, we seal it. Every time the Devourers probe our reality, we drive them back. Your civilizations have developed in peace because humanity has been fighting a war you never knew existed. The revelation stunned the assembly into silence. Admiral Strauss was the first to recover her voice. Dr. Vasquez, how many humans are involved in this protection network? Fewer than you might think, Dr. Vasquez admitted. Humanity's total population is only about 2 billion, spread across 17 worlds within our hidden sector. But we have developed technology and tactics specifically designed to combat interdimensional threats. Quality has proven more important than quantity in this war. Dr. Manis's bioluminescent patterns flickered rapidly as she processed this information. The energy barrier around your sector, it is not just for hiding, is it? Correct, Dr. Vasquez confirmed. The barrier serves multiple purposes. It hides our activities from younger species who are not ready for this knowledge. It also prevents the Devourers from detecting the large concentrations of life energy that exist in Federation space. Your civilizations shine like beacons to these entities, but our barrier masks your presence. Captain Real's insectoid features clicked with agitation. You are saying that without human protection, our species would have been discovered and destroyed long ago? Not necessarily destroyed, Dr. Vasquez replied carefully. The Devourers do not always kill. Sometimes they prefer to corrupt, to transform living beings into extensions of their will. The results are unpleasant. We have seen entire civilizations converted into harvesting machines for interdimensional predators. The holographic display showed images that several council members refused to look at directly. Former civilizations that had been transformed into twisted parodies of their original forms, serving entities that existed beyond normal space-time. Speaker Vrex spoke with the voice of ancient authority. Dr. Vasquez, what do you require from the Federation? Clearly you are revealing yourselves for a reason. Dr. Vasquez's expression grew serious. Recent sensor readings indicate that the Devourers are becoming more aggressive. They are testing our defenses with increasing frequency, and their probes are growing stronger. We believe they are preparing for a major incursion into this dimension. A major incursion? Admiral Strauss leaned forward. What would that involve? A full-scale invasion, Dr. Vasquez replied bluntly. If they succeed in establishing permanent dimensional anchors in our reality, they could bring through enough force to overwhelm even human defenses. When that happens, every civilization in the galaxy will be at risk. The chamber erupted in panicked discussions as representatives from various species debated the implications. Some demanded immediate militarization, while others questioned whether they should trust humanity's warnings. Ambassador Koltek's voice boomed over the chaos. Dr. Vasquez, even if we believe your claims, what can we do? You say these entities drive other species insane. How can we help fight an enemy we cannot face? By doing what your species do best, Dr. Vasquez replied with a smile. The Federation excels at logistics, coordination, and resource management. While humans handle direct combat with the Devourers, your civilizations could support our efforts by maintaining supply lines, providing raw materials, and helping to evacuate threatened worlds. Dr. Manis raised her hand. Dr. Vasquez, Would it be possible for Federation scientists to study human technology? Perhaps we could develop our own defenses or resistance to these entities. Some knowledge can be shared safely, Dr. Vasquez acknowledged. However, much of our technology is specifically designed to interact with human psychology and neural patterns. Other species attempting to use it often suffer severe side effects. To demonstrate, Dr. Vasquez activated another device from her equipment. The air in the chamber shimmered, and suddenly every being present could sense something they had never felt before. The presence of vast, hostile intelligences pressing against the barriers of reality itself. The sensation lasted only seconds, but several council members collapsed from the overwhelming terror. That was just the faintest touch of their influence, Dr. Vasquez said as medical teams rushed to help the affected delegates. Humans experience that sensation constantly when working near dimensional rifts. It is why we developed specialized training and equipment to maintain our sanity during extended operations. Commander Korix, who had remained remarkably calm during the demonstration, asked the question that was on everyone's mind. Dr. Vasquez, what happens if humanity fails? What happens if these devourers break through your defenses? Dr. Vasquez's answer chilled the chamber. Then the galaxy ends, not destroyed in war, but transformed into something that serves entities whose existence is antithetical to life as we understand it. Every world becomes a harvesting ground. Every intelligent being becomes a tool for gathering energy to fuel further invasions into other dimensions. The silence that followed was broken by Speaker Vrex. Dr. Vasquez, what do you need from us? How can the Federation assist in this war we never knew existed? For now, simply knowledge that we are not alone, Dr. Vasquez replied. Humanity has carried this burden in isolation for 3,000 years. Knowing that other species understand our purpose and support our mission will strengthen our resolve, but the time may come when we need more direct assistance. Admiral Strauss stood and addressed the assembly. Council members, I propose the immediate establishment of a joint Human Federation committee to coordinate our civilization's efforts. This threat affects all of us, whether we understood it before today or not. The vote was unanimous. As Dr. Vasquez prepared to return to her ship, she turned to address the assembly one final time. Members of the Federation, you have shown wisdom and courage today. The road ahead will not be easy, but for the first time in 3 millennia, humanity does not stand alone against the darkness. As her ship vanished back into whatever dimensional fold had brought it, the council members sat in contemplative silence. They had learned that their peaceful galaxy was an illusion maintained by human sacrifice, and that the greatest threat to their existence was something their instruments could barely detect. The age of innocence was ending, but perhaps the age of true galactic cooperation was just beginning. The Great Protection. 6 months after Dr. Elena Vasquez's revelation to the Galactic High Council, the galaxy had transformed. What was once a peaceful confederation of trading species had become a coordinated defense network unlike anything in recorded history. At the center of this transformation stood Captain Marcus Chen, Dr. Vasquez's younger brother and the newly appointed Supreme Commander of the Combined Galactic Defense Force. Captain Chen stood on the bridge of the massive command vessel, Eternal Vigil, watching dozens of screens that displayed fleet positions throughout the galaxy. Ships from 47 different species moved in carefully coordinated patterns, their diverse technologies integrated through human-designed command systems. It was a sight that would have been impossible just months earlier. Captain, called Lieutenant Sarah Park, his human communications officer, we're receiving reports from monitoring stations throughout Sectors 7 and 12. The dimensional readings are off the charts. Marcus turned from the tactical display, his weathered face showing the strain of constant vigilance. At 35, he looked older than his years, bearing the weight of protecting an entire galaxy. How bad is it, Lieutenant? Worse than anything we've recorded before, sir. The Devourers aren't just probing anymore. They're preparing to tear reality open. The bridge crew, a mixed team of humans and Federation aliens, worked with practiced efficiency despite the growing tension. Commander Thane Korix, now serving as the Federation's liaison to human command, operated his station with forearmed precision that had impressed even veteran human officers. Captain Chen, Thane reported, his crystalline voice carrying concern, my people's long-range sensors are detecting spatial distortions near the Andromeda Junction. Whatever the Devourers are planning, it appears to be centered there. Marcus nodded grimly. The Andromeda Junction was a critical hub where dozens of major trade routes converged. If the Devourers established a foothold there, they could spread throughout the galaxy within days. Thane, get me Admiral Strauss. We need to discuss evacuation procedures for the junction systems. Before Thane could respond, every alarm on the ship began blaring simultaneously. Dr. Elena Vasquez burst onto the bridge, her usually calm demeanor replaced by urgent determination. Marcus, they're coming through. All monitoring stations in the junction are reporting massive dimensional rifts opening. The main view screen activated, showing feeds from remote sensors near the Andromeda Junction. What they revealed defied description. Space itself was tearing apart, bleeding darkness that moved with malevolent purpose. Through these wounds in reality came the Devourers, entities that seemed to exist in multiple dimensions simultaneously. My God, whispered Dr. Manus, the Centaurian scientist who had joined the human command team. Her bioluminescent patterns flickered rapidly as she processed the readings. The energy signatures are beyond anything our instruments can properly measure. The Devourers were not ships in any conventional sense. They were living darkness that consumed light, matter, and energy equally. Some appeared as geometric impossibilities that hurt to look at directly. Others seemed to be made of crystallized void that absorbed everything around them. The largest entities looked like inverted galaxies, their spiral arms reaching out to corrupt anything they touched. Captain, reported the ship's AI in its emotionless human voice, preliminary scans indicate approximately 300 primary entities have emerged from the rifts. Secondary manifestations number in the thousands. They are moving toward inhabited systems at velocities that exceed our fastest ships. Marcus activated the fleet-wide communication system. All units, this is Captain Chen. Operation Starwall is now in effect. Federation fleets are to maintain their positions and provide support as directed. Human combat squadrons prepare for dimensional engagement protocols. Across the galaxy, the carefully prepared defense network sprang into action. Admiral Vera Strauss coordinated Federation fleets from her flagship Galactic Unity, ensuring that evacuation ships were protected and supply lines remained open. Her tactical expertise proved invaluable as she positioned non-combat vessels to maximum advantage. Human ships are moving to intercept, Admiral Strauss reported over the command channel. Marcus, are you certain your people can handle entities of this magnitude? We've been preparing for this day for 3,000 years, Marcus replied, his voice carrying quiet confidence. But today, we don't fight alone. The human fleet that moved to engage the Devourers was unlike anything the Federation had ever seen in action. Ships that had appeared simple and organic from the outside revealed their true capabilities as they approached the dimensional rifts. Their hulls began to glow with internal energy, and impossible geometric patterns emerged on their surfaces. Captain Lisa Rodriguez commanded the human vessel, Dimensional Guardian, leading a squadron of 12 ships directly toward the largest concentration of Devourers. As her ship entered the corrupted space around the rifts, reality itself began to behave strangely. Time flowed differently, gravity shifted without warning, and the laws of physics seemed to bend and twist. Guardian Squadron, maintain formation, Lisa commanded, her voice steady despite the chaos around them. Remember your training. Do not look directly at the primary entities, trust your instruments and your instincts. The human ships opened fire with weapons that seemed to bend space around their targets. Instead of energy beams or projectiles, they fired what appeared to be controlled reality distortions that struck the Devourers with devastating effect. Where these weapons hit, the entities writhed and partially retreated back into their dimensional rifts. But the Devourers were not passive targets. They responded with attacks that defied understanding. Waves of pure despair that could drive crews insane, reality bombs that caused matter to forget how to exist, and tendrils of living darkness that phased through ship hulls to corrupt everything they touched. Guardian Squadron taking heavy damage, Lisa reported as her ship shuddered under an assault from geometric impossibilities. These entities are stronger than our projections indicated. Marcus watched the battle displays with growing concern. The human fleet was holding its own, but barely. Even with their specialized training and equipment, his people were being overwhelmed by the sheer number of entities pouring through the rifts. Elena, he called to his sister, can we seal the rifts while they're still open? Not with conventional methods, Dr. Vasquez replied, her fingers dancing across holographic controls. The Devourers are using quantum anchors to keep them stable. We would need to get close enough to place dimensional charges directly on the anchor points. How close? Marcus asked, though he suspected he already knew the answer. Close enough to touch them, Elena admitted. Any ship attempting such a mission would be exposed to the full psychic influence of the primary entities. Even humans would have difficulty maintaining sanity at that range. Commander Korix looked up from his station, his 4 arms working multiple controls simultaneously. Captain Chen, Federation ships are reporting strange effects throughout the junction systems. Our crews are experiencing nightmares while awake, and some vessels are reporting that their AI systems are developing fears and emotions. The corruption was spreading faster than anyone had anticipated. Marcus realized that conventional tactics, even human ones, would not be sufficient to stop this incursion. They needed something unprecedented, a coordinated effort that combined human resistance with Federation resources. All units, this is Captain Chen, he announced over the fleet-wide channel. I'm implementing Protocol Unity. Admiral Strauss, I need your fastest ships to create a distraction corridor. Dr. Vasquez, prepare the dimensional charges. We're going to make a run on those anchor points. Admiral Strauss's tactical expertise immediately grasped the plan's potential. Marcus, you're talking about a suicide mission. The Federation ships won't be able to maintain formation that close to the primary entities. They won't have to, Marcus replied. Federation ships will provide cover fire and evacuation support. Human ships will penetrate to the anchor points. It's the only way. What followed was the most coordinated military operation in galactic history. Federation ships from dozens of species moved in perfect synchronization, their diverse weapons creating a barrier of firepower that forced the Devourers to concentrate their attention. Meanwhile, human vessels used this distraction to push deeper into the corrupted space around the dimensional rifts. Captain Rodriguez found herself leading the deepest penetration, her ship, Dimensional Guardian, racing toward the largest quantum anchor. The psychic pressure was enormous. Even through her specialized mental shielding, she could feel the Devourers trying to invade her thoughts with visions of cosmic despair. Guardian to command, she transmitted, her voice strained but determined. Approaching primary anchor point, dimensional charges armed and ready. Copy that, Guardian, Marcus replied. You have full authority to complete the mission. As Lisa's ship closed the final distance to the anchor point, the largest Devourer turned its attention toward her. The entity was a spiral of living void that seemed to exist in 17 dimensions simultaneously. Looking at it directly caused reality to blur around the edges, but Lisa kept her focus on the mission. Firing dimensional charges, she announced. The charges struck the quantum anchor with devastating effect. Instead of an explosion, reality seemed to collapse inward, creating a spiral of destruction that pulled the dimensional rift closed like a healing wound. The Devourers connected to that anchor were severed from their dimensional source, causing them to fade back into whatever realm they had emerged from. Across the battlefield, other human ships succeeded in similar missions. One by one, the dimensional rifts began to close, cutting off the Devourers' reinforcements and trapping those already in normal space. But the victory came at a cost. Several human ships had been lost to entity attacks, and many more were severely damaged. The crews that survived reported lasting psychological effects from exposure to the Devourers' influence. All rifts are sealed, Dr. Vasquez reported from the command bridge. Remaining entities are retreating to the dimensional boundaries. The immediate threat has been neutralized. The aftermath of the battle revealed the true scope of what had been accomplished. For the first time in 3,000 years, the galaxy's younger species had participated directly in defending their reality from interdimensional predators. The coordination between human and Federation forces had been flawless, proving that cooperation could achieve what neither group could manage alone. Admiral Strauss transmitted from her flagship, her voice carrying newfound respect. Captain Chen, the Federation owes humanity a debt that can never be fully repaid. Your people have sacrificed everything to protect civilizations that didn't even know they needed protection. With respect, Admiral, Marcus replied, humanity is no longer alone in this fight. Today proved that the galaxy can work together against threats that endanger all of us. This victory belongs to every species that participated. In the weeks that followed, the galaxy transformed once again. The Joint Human Federation Defense Network became permanent, with species from across known space contributing their unique capabilities to the protection effort. Zeltharian precision, Centaurian scientific innovation, Vorthon tactical expertise, and dozens of other species' strengths were integrated into a defense system that was stronger than the sum of its parts. Dr. Elena Vasquez established the Galactic Academy for Dimensional Defense, where beings from every species could learn about interdimensional threats and develop appropriate countermeasures. Her first class included both humans and aliens, working together to understand enemies that threatened the very nature of reality. Captain Marcus Chen was promoted to Grand Admiral of the Combined Defense Force, leading an organization that represented every civilization in the galaxy. His command ship, Eternal Vigil, became a symbol of unity and protection that inspired countless beings across known space. But perhaps the most significant change was philosophical. The galaxy's species no longer saw themselves as separate civilizations competing for resources and territory. They understood that they were part of something larger, a community of intelligent life that faced threats beyond individual comprehension. Commander Thane Korix, now serving as Deputy Admiral, often stood on the observation deck of the Eternal Vigil, watching ships from dozens of species working together in formations that would have been impossible just months earlier. The sight never failed to inspire him. "Remarkable, isn't it?" Dr. Vasquez said, joining him at the viewing port. 3,000 years ago, humanity chose isolation to protect the galaxy. Now we've chosen cooperation to save it. Thane's crystalline features reflected the light of distant stars as he considered her words. "Dr. Vasquez, do you think the Devourers will return?" "Undoubtedly," Elena replied. "But when they do, they'll face something they've never encountered before, a galaxy united in its defense. Humanity learned long ago that some battles can only be won together." As if to emphasize her point, a squadron of mixed human and Federation ships passed by the viewport, their diverse forms moving in perfect harmony. The sight represented more than military cooperation. It symbolized the evolution of an entire galaxy from separate civilizations into a unified community. The silence beyond the void had been broken, but it had been replaced by something far more powerful, the voice of an entire galaxy speaking as one in defiance of the darkness between the stars. In the years that followed, the Combined Defense Force would face many more incursions from the Devourers and other interdimensional threats. But they would face them together, with human determination backing Federation innovation, creating a defense network that grew stronger with each challenge overcome. The age of isolation was over, the age of unity had begun, and in the vast darkness between the stars, entities that had preyed on scattered civilizations for eons learned to fear the light of cooperation that now burned throughout the galaxy. Humanity had kept their long watch in silence, but their greatest victory came when they finally broke that silence and spoke the words that changed everything. "You are not alone."